I want to go there to introduce myself, to have goodwill between your people and my people, and to reassure Japan of our friendship and cooperation, and that I would also want to renew ties to have a stronger trade and commerce relation between the two countries. Japan has been our traditional partner in business. Even right after the war, we actually resumed immediately the trade and commerce relations between the two countries. And we are great friends. We look forward to cooperate with you and to express our brotherhood with you as an Asian neighbor.
Thank you very much. And the second question is, I've heard that you have been to Japan several times. So I would like to ask about what is your impression to Japan, and do you have some special feeling to Japan?
One is really Japan is a beautiful country. That's when I was there on winter because my daughter wanted to see snow and play in the snow. And so because I love my daughter, we went to Japan right after Christmas Day and stayed there until New Year at the Hyatt Hotel in Tokyo. And we went to this mountain, Matsu somewhere, where there was this snow. And there was no snow at that time in Tokyo. So you had to go up to a mountain, Matsu, I forgot the name, but there was a lot of snow there. And very cold. I usually deliver sores in my mouth if I cannot stand the cold. So we stayed there for just about a few hours. 3 hours, 4 hours, then we. So my daughter was happy, and I'm happy. And I'm happy to be going back to Japan again, this time as an official of my government, and to talk about a broad range of topics, starting from maritime security, maritime commerce, passage, terrorism, drugs, and the problem also of globalization, and the attendant problems of how we develop our relationship. In view of so many agreements now, there's the APEC, then you have the Trans-Pacific, which I think will not work. I do not think it's a fair one, and a host of other things that we might discuss along the way. China has claimed the whole of the China Sea. Japan has disagreed. My country filed a case against China. We won the case, and but several countries having a very similar issues, just like Japan, Philippines, Indonesia, Brunei, Malaysia, then Vietnam. I am sure that the Japanese government would be asking for my stand. And I say that we have this arbiter ruling in our hands, but I said at this time, I cannot come up with hard impositions. Especially, I was there on a visit, and you must be courteous to your host. So we decided to just set aside, but agreed that one day we will have to talk about the arbitral judgment between our two countries, whether it is multilateral with the participation of Japan, Indonesia, and even maybe Australia. There will have to be a day which will have to be talked about it. But we have agreed on that in the preliminary talks I had with the Chinese government. let me, you have two things there.
Yeah.
Is the relations and the passage. Now, in fairness to China, we have not seen any restrictions imposed by China. There is no stopping of ships there to ask for identification and everything. Until now, there is a free passage in that area of the China Sea. We appreciate that. And they have more or less, somehow just held back and not do anything about it. Now, the problem with the intrusions is that there are a lot of, sometimes it's your ships, they say intruding China Sea in jurisdictional waters, and sometimes you go to the Senshu Islands, and there is also the Coast Guard. But we limit our problem to the Coast Guard presence. We do not have the gray ships. When you say the gray ships, it's the warships. No country has done that. And in the Philippines, we share the same, self-imposed restrictions. We have not sent any gray ships there. We have limited our presence to the Coast Guard. And everything can always be resolved in a very peaceful manner. Now, remember that the UNCLOS and the international law, which we all follow as members of the United Nations, we have committed to resolve our disputes through dialogue and to avoid aggression. Means to say that we do it peacefully. We have agreed that no violence should ever occur. With this, with or without the China Sea, the Philippines has always been close to Japan. We are neighbors, and if you must know, even in my city, the biggest donor of assistance is Japan. The JICA projects and even the airport are part of the JICA master plan for the city. And we appreciate it, and we would like to thank the government and the people of Japan. So that is how it should go. It should proceed. It should proceed in a very friendly manner, very cooperative to each other, and I said our relations with Japan is something which is really special and very deep. All infrastructure, bridges, we like them. Railway, which is very important in the development of a nation. As you can see, no nation has developed faster without a railway. So we might want to have it in Mindanao, but on considering my limited term, 6 years, we cannot hope for a massive railway stations because that would involve something like almost 6,000 kilometers. It cannot be built in 6 years. They can only build the major arterial, meaning to say from important provinces from, for example, Cagayan and Davao, and maybe the Cagayan towards the Zamboanga archipelago. It's about a fourth of what we expect to have but which we cannot finish in 6 years. Impossible. And of course, the railway stations from here to Clark, from here to Bicol region, that's another one. Because very hard to get the space, plenty of houses, people there, even to get the space to put the railway to make it run. Something which is a very big, an enormous problem for government and the builder itself, the contractor. Relationship with the United States, nothing has changed. Really. Nothing has changed. I'm harsh with my mouth. uh, because they were not also maybe doing the right conduct. And those were just exchanges of the mouth. But they saw the relationship in the broad sense between the United States and the Philippines is still there. Nothing has changed. But my personal perception, maybe not the country, it has nothing to do with government, but my personal perception of America, maybe several changes already. The alliances are alive. It is there. There should be no worry about changes of alliances. I do not mean to have alliances with other nations. If you are afraid that we would have a Western alliance and a alliance with China, it will be an alliance of trade and commerce. It could not be a military alliance with any country because we have with America. That was about in the 50s. And there is just a need to have a few changes because in my constitution, there is a provision which says that my country will pursue an independent policy. It was not of my own. Maybe as some people expect that because I disagreed with America, that the challenges there are there and substantial. No, I just said that in my perception there are things which have to be discussed. One is the military maneuvers. They're going to have it this year. That will be the last. For the 6 years that I'll be president, no more military maneuvers there. I do not want to pick a quarrel. The only purpose there is just to show the other guy that, that you're ready and looking for trouble. I'd like to tell the world something. No need for bases, no need for the missiles, no need for fighter planes. Because if China and the US and Russia and Iran and Pakistan and India would participate in the war, Britain, France, and they would explode all the bombs. It's bye-bye to the planet Earth. See you in heaven. It will tear the planet Earth apart. It will cause the death of our planet. No more worry about trade and commerce. No more worry about the relationship between America. So I do not need military alliances. And I want just to see my country free, no maneuvers of any kind, because that you are maybe challenging somebody there. And I would want to see the day that there is no other military troops except the Philippine military. I want to see the day that no more presence of any other foreigners who are military. And that is what I mean when the Constitution says President can formulate an independent foreign policy. There is no need for military alliances because if there is war, it will just, we said it's the end of the world. So bye-bye.